Leading off in the game will be Maury Wells. Maury Wells, switch hitter, batting left-handed against Roger Craig. Maury's ankle is still a little bit sore, but he is just about at full speed once again. Who last year stole 104 bases, so far this year has 4 in 15 ball games, but he has not been at full speed. He got 2 of the 4 in one game against the Cardinals. Now Roger Craig looking in at Orange Cherry for his fan. Here's the windup and the pitch. Bounce down. No play. Strike one. Roger lost some real tough games to the Dodgers last year. 3-1 and 5-1 in Dodger Stadium. 3-1 here at the Polo Grounds. Swing, strike two. And the big crowd comes up with a roar as Maury Wells swings and misses. Nowhere in baseball can you get the excitement from the crowd that you get from the fans of the New York Mets in the Polo Grounds. 2-strike count now on Maury Wells. Roger Craig over the head. Here's the pitch. And he pops the ball up near the plate. Norm Cherry is called up by Charlie Neal. Neal has it on the way. One away and nobody on. The batter coming on now will be the veteran Junior Gilliam. At the start of the year, Alston turned the third base job over to rookie Ken McMillan. But has returned Gilliam to the lineup. Junior hitting at 207, batting left-handed against Roger Craig. Dodgers have won 10 and lost 10. This is over at the knees. Strike one call. Last year, the Dodgers won 16 of the 18. 8-1 out there and 8-1 here in New York. A high fly ball into right field, not very deep. Ron Hunt is going out. In comes Duke Snyder. And Snyder makes the grab. Fly ball to right, retires Junior Gilliam, and on to hit now will be Willie Davis. Willie off to a slow start at the plate, hitting at 194 after 19 ball games. One of the fastest men in baseball, Willie Davis. Third straight left-hand hitter to come up against Roger Craig. Down comes the pitch by Roger. A curve. Missed strike one. He really threw in a beauty of a curveball. Slow ground ball off the mound of Craig. Roger up with it. Throws to first to Snyder's out. Very strong inning for Roger Craig. No runs, no hits, no errors, and none left on. The score in the middle of the first inning with Dodgers nothing, and the New York Mets coming to bat. Now the home half of the first inning, and the New York Mets will have Jim Hickman leading off against right-hander Bob Miller. Bob Miller, so far, has been pitching the best baseball of anyone on the Dodgers staff, including Don Drysdale and Sandy Koufax. Bob, in his first 4 outings, on 3 of the 4, gave up 1 run or less. One other occasion gave up 3 runs, so Miller has really been pitching well. He has an earned run average of 1.17. Miller has 1-2, lost none. Real good welcome for Jim Hickman as his name is announced by Jack Lee. He had a tremendous series against the Braves over the last weekend here in the Polo Grounds. He had 7 for 15, 5 of the 7 extra base hits. Here's the windup pitch by Miller. Outside and low, it's ball one. Blonde Bob Miller. Signed for a large bonus upon graduation from high school in St. Louis, Missouri. Now Miller into his windup. Here's the pitch. That's over at the knees for a call strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, the crowd is here to have a good time, and they're wasting no time in getting to the task. 1 ball, 1 strike now to Jim Hickman, leading off bottom half of the first inning, and no score in the game. Sally Hemus coaching at first base, and Cookie Lamagetto at third. Now Miller cranking up. Here's the pitch thrown. A check swing, slow grounder. Hit towards shortstop. Will charges in, hooks the ball. And Hickman is on. We'll wait for the scoring. It was a tough chance of a slow roller. Base hit. Jim Hickman on a half swing hit a slow roller. Maury Wills had to come in at full speed, trying to pick it up and throw in the same motion. Umpire Ed Fargo calling Casey out of the dugout and pointing out towards center field about something perhaps. There may be something that is distracting. The umpires have detected him. The center field bleachers will wait and see. Now Miller up in pitching position. Jim Hickman on first. Nobody out. Bottom half of inning number 1. Ron Hunt batting at .289. Steps in against Miller. Here's the stretch by Miller. Down comes his pitch. A swing and a foul tip. Strike 1. Carl Willie will be on the mound for the New York Mets against Don Drysdale. Drysdale, a 25-game winner last year and the recipient of the Cy Young Award for outstanding pitcher in the Major League. Now Miller checks the runner, then pitches. There goes the runner. A line drive, base hit, going to right field. Hickman around second. He's on his way to third. He'll round third and be held up there by Timmy Lamicello. Runners on first and third. Second base. Broke up any chance they might have had for 2. It's a run batted in for Snyder, and the Mets lead 1-0. Now Frank Thomas facing Bob Miller with Snyder on first, 1 man away. Frank has 2 home runs, 7 RBI. The RBI for the Duke was his 9th. The ground ball hit down to Gilliam. He fires to Oliver. They have 1. Oliver on to Skowron. Double play to retire the side. In the opening inning for New York, 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, none left on. So at the end of 1, the score in the opener of the series of the Dodgers, the New York Mets 1 and the Los Angeles Dodgers nothing. The Dodgers will have massive Frank Howard leading off as we move along to the second. Just about a week ago, Frank donned eyeglasses for the first time during his athletic career. He has really been hitting. He's one of the few Dodgers that has been wielding a hot bat. Howard hitting a .371, 4 home runs, and 14 runs batted in. The windup and pitch by Craig. A half swing and a strike at the outside corner. Frank Howard has the 4th highest batting average in the National League. Now Craig winding, foul ball on a liner hit in behind Leo DeRocher coaching at third. Frank Howard and Ron Fairley, hitting number 4 and 5 in the Dodger batting order, have both been wielding hot bats. Tommy Davis is still sidelined after a hamstring muscle pull. Inside at the letters, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tommy, the National League batting champion a year ago, has not played for the last 2 weeks. He spent 8 days in the hospital. He's out of the hospital now and is in uniform with the Dodgers. Pitching 1-2. A line drive, base hit going to left field. It was Karam off the wall. Thomas waiting on the Karam. He'll hold Howard to a single. Howard hit a curveball, and he really hung out a line drive to left field. Thomas playing the Karam just right, and Howard is held to a single. That brings up Ron Fairley. Of all the Dodgers, Ron Fairley was the toughest tormentor to the New York Mets last season. Talented redhead from Southern Cal. Right now hitting at .295, but he started slowly and has had a real hot streak going lately. 3 home runs, 14 runs batted in. Fairly left-hand batter. In comes the pitch by Craig. There goes the bat. There goes the ball. The ball is foul and so's the bat. The bat broke right in half. Fairley was still holding the handle of the bat, and the barrel of the bat wound up at the feet of first base coach Joe Becker. Eddie Cranebro had to make up his mind. He saw both of them coming right at him. That's what they call breaking the bat off right in the batter's hand. Now a 1-strike count on Ron Fairley. Johnny Roseboro is on deck, and then Moose Gowron. Strike called, a fastball in the outside corner. With the 2 switch hitters at the top of the batting order, Walter Alston has a lot of left-hand hitting in the lineup tonight against Roger Craig. Now Craig checks the runner. He pitched to Fairley. A ground ball slowly hit off the glove of Craig. It can't be handled by Charlie Neal. Everybody will be safe. Roger Craig going high in the air just tipped the ball with the fingers of the glove. Neal then desperately trying to make a play on it. It goes as an infield hit. So Craig, who made a good pitch on Fairley, has it backfire, and he is on an infield hit. Now the Dodgers have a threat. Runners on first and second, nobody out. The hitter is Johnny Roseboro. Roseboro hitting .224 right now, has good power. And he drove in a lot of real important runs for the Dodgers last season. Charlie Neal on the edge of the grass at third. Pitch thrown by Craig. A high pop-up to short right field. They invoke the infield fly ruling under the ball in front. And Ron takes it 1 man down. That brings on the Moose, Bill Skowron. Now veteran right-hand slugger, Bill Skowron, coming up against Roger Craig. The Moose sitting at .233 right now. Here's the pitch to him. A line drive base hit going down the left field line and into the corner. Howard is romping around third and into score. The play comes into second, and Skowron holds with a single. Once again, Frank Thomas playing the Karam just right. And Skowron, who hung out a real bullet liner over Neal's head and down the line, is on with a run-scoring single to tie the game. Runners on first and third, 1 away. Leo DeRocher calling Oliver down the coaching feed down the line to talk to him before he comes on to hit. Now Pee Wee Oliver from St. Petersburg, Florida. Outstanding rookie second baseman hitting for the Dodgers. He hit .317 at Spokane in the Coast League last year. He's had 4 years of minor league experience. That's right-handed. Pitch thrown by Roger Craig. Misses the outside corner. 1 ball and no strike. Now Pee Wee Oliver knocks the bat off the right shoulder. The pitch from Craig is swung and missed. 1 ball, 1 strike. Don Rowe has been given the sign to warm up in the Mets bullpen. Dodgers have tied the game 1-1. We're in the top of the second inning. Runners on first and third. Oliver is very fast. Mets have the infield shortened up on the left side, hoping for a shot at the double play. Now Craig lobs the ball over to first. Bill Bill Skowron was standing right on the base. Next pitch on the way. Curve a little bit low. 2 balls and a strike. Game tied 1-1. Pitch to Oliver, a foul ball back up toward the press box and out of play. Now the count is even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bob Miller will be up next. Maury Wills out of the on-deck circle. Miller remaining in the dugout. Now Craig turns his back to home plate to work up the new ball. Frank Howard started the Dodgers off when he singled to left field. Fairley beat out an infield hit after Roseboro popped out to Ron Hunt. Bill Skowron singled down the left field line, scoring Frank Howard. And Ron Fairley raced from first around to third. Now Craig up in pitching position, delivers a swing and a miss. He struck him out. Looked like a good slider by Roger Craig that fanned Pee Wee Oliver, and now we have 2 away in the top of the second, and Bob Miller comes out to hit. Bob has had 4 previous starts for the Dodgers this year, has pitched well in each of the 4. He is looking for his first base hit of the year as he comes up against Roger Craig. Miller 0 for 13. Striding in. I shouldn't say Maury Wells. Maury in the on-deck circle. The junior Gilliam hitting number 2 in the Dodger batting order. Now Craig up in pitching position. And a balk is called on Roger Craig that'll score a run. And Roger doesn't like this one at all. Farley called it from third base. It brings a run across the plate. Farley coming in to score. And Skowron goes to second base. Was the only of the 4 umpires to call it. He's umpiring at third base, and he called it on Craig. And that one hurts. It brings a run in to score. Roger really upset. He didn't like the call one little bit. Roger modified his way of pitching with men on base due to the enforcement of the ball rule, but supposedly they had modified the ball rule and were not to call it as strictly as they had done. That is 5 balks called this year on Roger Craig. And that one comes in a spot where it hurts. Now the Dodgers have Skowron over on second, 2 down, and Bob Miller up. Now Roger up in pitching position. Eyes the runner at second, then delivers. That's over, strike 1 call. Craig each have had 5 balks called on them so far this year. Miller, right-hand batter waiting. Now the pitch by Craig. Strike call that got the outside corner. Craig started off the mound. I think he thought that was the 3rd strike. Now remembering the balk call. And a couple of the Dodgers started out of the dugout. Actually, it was the 3rd strike he had thrown, but the first one didn't count because they called a balk, which nullified the pitch. So the count is strike 2 on Bob Miller. Dodgers lead 2-1. We're in the top half of the second inning. Now Rogers setting his sign. Ron Hunt ducks in behind Bill Skowron. No play made. Craig taking his time. Comes right to the belt and stays in that stop position. Now the pitch. Off the outside corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Roger eliminating the stretch. He just brings his hands right to the belt and stays there in a stop position. But as the pitchers say, when you have to concentrate on that stop and can't concentrate on the hitter, it takes something away from you. Pitching 1 and 2. Just a little bit low. And that time, Ed Fargo started to come up with his right hand. Then kind of froze it and didn't bring it up. The count is even. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Dodger pitcher, Bob Miller. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 2 down with Skowron on second base. Now Roger comes to the belt, makes the stop. Here's the pitch. A ground ball slowly hit, coming in quickly. Al Moran. He begs on to first, and the strike is out. So with the pitcher up and 2 men down, the ball called on Roger Craig, cost him a run. In the second inning, 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors, 1 left out. And Casey's out of the dugout, and he wants to talk to Al Barley. Ricky Laversillo heading towards the coaching mark. I don't know why Barley came off the line. Often he's umpire. Barley has left third base, coming down to the dugout. Not for any argument, but perhaps for repairs or something. At the end of an inning and a half, the score, Dodgers 2 and the Mets 1. Now Eddie Cranepool will be leading off against Bob Miller in the last half of inning number 2. Eddie hitting 270. 1 home run and 2 runs batted in. Charlie Neal on deck and then Al Moran. Mets got 1 run in the first inning. Dodgers coming back to score 2 at the top of the second. Now slender Bob Miller, who has a real live pitching arm, winds and delivers. Inside and low, 1 ball and no strike. Bob Miller was unable to win a game for the New York Mets last year until the next to last game of the season. A line drive hit hard on base hit to left field for Eddie Cranepool. He really racked out. Ron Farrelly plays the ball back in, and Eddie Cranepool is on with a single to left field. He hit the ball hard. That brings up Charlie Neal. Each team now has 3 hits in the game. Charlie trying to fight out of an early season batting slump has been hitting the ball better over the last 4 or 5 ball games. Base hits have not been dropping for them, but he has been seeing the ball better. Now the pitch. He's around as if to bunt, doesn't offer, but the pitch is over, strike 1. After being traded to the Dodgers, moved his winter home from St. Petersburg, Florida, out to Los Angeles. Next pitch to Neal. There goes the runner. Hits the run, but a foul ball to the upper deck out of play. Charlie Neal, a good right field hitter, trying to hit behind Eddie Cranepool, who was on the run. And now the count is strike 2 on Neal. Comes to the stop. In comes his pitch. A little bit high. Neal let it go. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tomorrow night, Carl Willie against Don Drysdale. Wednesday night, Houston will be in for the first visit of the year. Pitch to Neal. Bounced foul. He barely got a piece of it, but he stays in there against Bob Miller in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Dodgers trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. They were swept by the Cardinals over the weekend in Los Angeles. The Dodgers now have won 10 and lost 10. We have quite a bit of action going in the Major Leagues for a Monday, and we'll pass all the scores along to you. Next pitch, outside the high, and the count is even 2-2. We had quite a lot of action scheduled, but rain has taken some games off the board. Houston and Pittsburgh rained out in Pittsburgh. Boy, it was a beautiful day there yesterday, too. Chicago and Cincinnati rained out. Milwaukee and St. Louis not scheduled. They're playing in Philadelphia. Now the 2-2 pitch with a runner going. A swing and a miss. Strike 3. The pitch to second to slide. He's out at second base. Eddie Cranepool tagged out by Pee Wee Oliver as Charlie Neal strikes out into the double play. on now. That brings up Al Moran. In Philadelphia tonight, Jack Fisher is hurling for the San Francisco Giants. Cal McCush for the Phillies. No score at the end of one inning. The American League, the Yankees will be at Comiskey Park in Chicago. Doubleheader on the West Coast. Washington playing the Angels. Baltimore and the Minnesota Twins rained out in Minnesota. Detroit, Cleveland, Boston, and Kansas City were not scheduled. The batter now is Al Moran. Miller into his wind at the pitch foul. He started him off with a curve, and it's over. Strike one call. Al hitting 209. Crossed behind the plate, bangs for the next delivery. Miller's pitch, a high fastball, 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, I hope you've got plenty of Rheingold Extra Dry on hand. Why not open up or order up a cold glass of Rheingold Extra Dry? Line drive over to second base, into center field for a base hit. Moran behind on the count, 2 strikes, singles to center. Now before Norm Sherry comes on to hit. Let's pause for station identification.
This is 810 on your radio dial, WGY, the General Electric Station, Schenectady.
Bob Murphy with Lindsey Nelson and Ralph Cantor. Norm Sherry comes on to face Bob Miller. Dodgers 2 and the Mets 1 were in the last half of the second inning. An agreement with Johnny Roseboro. Pitch to Sherry off the outside corner. 1 ball and no strikes. Mets against the Dodgers tonight have 4 Dodgers in the starting lineup. 4 former Dodgers. Now Sherry waiting. Pitch by Bob Miller is taken high. Ball 2, 2-0. Playing Junior Gilliam at third, Maury Rolls at short, Pee Wee Oliver at second, and Bill Skowron at first. Ron Fairley in left, Willie Davis in center, and Frank Howard is around and right. Pitching 2-0. Ball 3 is low, and the count 3-0 on Norm Sherry. Out of the on-deck circle, Roger Craig will be up next. Rather chilly night, Roger waiting in the dugout. 3-0 delivery. Over for a call strike, 3-1. He threw him a curveball on 3-0. The pitcher on deck, he probably strongly felt that a fastball on 3-0 would be swung at. Now the count, 3-1. Miller comes to the stop. Here's the pitch on the way. Curve outside. Ball 4. Sherry walks. First walk given up by Bob Miller. And it brings up Roger Craig. This would be a 1-1 ball game, but with the pitcher batting and 2 men down. A balk was called on Roger Craig that brought the Dodgers' second run across the plate. Now Miller ready to wait for it to Roger Craig. Swinging on that strike 1. He went after a breaking ball. Warm-up action for the Dodgers. Southpaw Pete Rickard has started to loosen up. Pitch to Craig, a breaking ball over, strike 2 call. coaching at first, and Cookie Lavagero pacing up and down on the lines at third. Al Moran is on second. Norm Sherry on first. 2-strike pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Bob Miller fanning Roger Craig for the third out. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, and 2 left on. At the end of 2 innings, the score, the Dodgers 2 and the Mets 1. Right here, we go to the third inning for more baseball action, and here to follow every play for you, Ralph Kiner. Thank you, Bob. It's going to be Maury Wills leading off here for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Maury fouled out his first time up. He's batting from the left-hand side against Roger Craig. And the first pitch from Roger is low for ball 1. Maury was a complete right-hand batter until 1958. Then he switched over, and that got him to the major leagues. He left low again, ball 2. 1958, Maury Wills was playing for Spokane in the Pacific Coast League, and his manager then, Bobby Bragan, encouraged him to bat from the left-hand side. Now the 2-0 pitch, a swing and a miss and a curveball for strike 1. Roger Craig, through 2 innings, has given up 2 runs. He has allowed 3 hits. Ball striking out 1 and walking no one. Now time called. Roger gave up a balk in the second inning that gave the Los Angeles Dodgers their second run. There's a ball hit right through the middle. A base hit for Maury Wills. And he holds at first base, and so Roger now has Maury Wills on at first base with no one out. Earlier this year, Wills hurt his ankle while sliding. It has handicapped him tremendously so far. He has only 4 stolen bases so far this year. Last year, of course, he set an all-time record for stolen bases with 104 in 117 attempts. So the Dodgers with a runner at first and Jim Gilliam, the batter. Jim is switch hitter, batting left-handed, and he hits the first pitch to center field. Jim Hickman, waiting now, moves in as the wind blows the ball in, and he makes the catch for out number 1. The batter coming on, Willie Davis. Gilliam had flied out to right field his first time up, so he is 0 for 2 in the game. Willie Davis bounced back to the mound in his first try. He's very fast, probably as fast as anyone in the league. Last year, he stole 32 bases for the Dodgers, second in the major league. Bill's at first base with a short lead, and Roger Craig moves him back with a throw over there. Wills was only picked off 3 times all-time last year, 1 time by Roger Craig. Now a quick throw, Wills dives back in. Roger said he has that set position, Wills edging off. Now Roger backing off the pitching rubber, so Wills goes back to first base. Dodgers 2, the Mets 1. Top of the third inning. Now time call by home plate umpire Ed Bargo. Sets again, then comes home, and there's a drive off the glove of Ed Braybaugh. Going down the right field line. Wills goes to second base on the third. Davis goes to second, and he holds there. And now the Dodgers, with a double by Willie Davis, have runners at third and second base with 1 out. And watching Maury Wills run, you can certainly see that he's bothered by that bad ankle. He does not run with a completely untroubled ankle as he moves on around the bases. On that play, Claypool jumped high in the air, as high as he could go. He got his glove on the ball, but it was hit so hard it went on through down the right field line. Duke Snyder fielded the ball and threw it on in. Hit number 5 off Roger Craig, and now in the bullpen, some action for the Mets. It's Don Rowe, a left-hander, warming up again. Rowe was up in the second inning when the Dodgers scored their 2 runs to take over the lead 2-1. Mets scored in the first inning. Now Roger back on top. He has a tough job. It's Frank Howard, the batter. Howard singled off the left field wall his first time up. And he scored the first run of the game for the Dodgers. He's really been red hot. He's batting .380 for the year. Infield is being played in, but not really too deep at third and short. I don't blame Johnny Neal at all. There's a curveball down low. Neal is playing about 4 steps back of the normal played-in position. Boy, with this fella hitting, you don't want to ever see anybody say play in. He has tremendous power. In batting practice, he hit the ball in the center field bleachers. 1 ball, no strikes. Roger Craig to Frank Howard, the right-hand batter. Now the windup and the pitch, a curve, a swing and a miss for strike 1. Roger with a curve in the outside corner. Howard with a big swing, missing completely. Howard last year, his best major league year, he hit .296 with 31 home runs. He drove in 119 runs. He's 6'7". Was an All-American basketball player at Ohio State. Now the 1-1 pitch by Craig. It's outside. Roger trying to catch the outside corner away from the big fella. 2 balls and 1 strike. Howard has been wearing glasses of late. It's helped him more in the field than anywhere else. The Dodger players all collectively saying that it's really aided him in the outfield. The glasses are shaded a light yellow to brighten up all the light that might be available. Now the 2-1 pitch by Roger Craig. Fastball, he hits him. He drilled him right on the side. That'll load him up. Howard going on down to first base. And the batter will be Ron Fairley. The glove of Roger Craig his first time up. He too off to a good start for the Dodgers. He's batting .306. Dodgers lead 2-1. Top of the third, 1 out. The bases loaded. Now the infield back for the double play try. There's a curve outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Roger has yet to beat his former teammates. Last year he was 0-4 against them. Is loaded. Maury Wells at third base. At second base, Willie Davis. At first base, Frank Howard. Now the pitch outside again, ball 2. And Wills dives back into third base as Johnny Neal came in for a possible throw. The throw never came off from Norm Cherry. Wills was back ahead of any possible try. 2 balls and no strikes. With 5 hits in the game, the Mets have 4. The Dodgers lead 2-1. 1 out here in the top of the third. Now the pitch back. It's a hard ground ball down the first baseline. Out of play for a foul ball. 2 balls and 1 strike. Joe Becker, the base coach, had to jump out of the way of the smash. Coaching at third base. Well, let's call him Leo DeRocher. Leo did not come out of the clubhouse until the very last minute today. He was trying to avoid all types of questions and interviews. There it is, 2 balls and 1 strike. Roger back to work, and the curveball is pulled foul this time. It almost hit Joe Becker. He wasn't even looking. Ball was not hit too hard. That moves the count even at 2-2. You can remember last year, Leo DeRocher caused quite a bit of excitement when he passed out in the clubhouse after a penicillin shot. He had a reaction to the penicillin that almost put him away. He's okay now, though. Coaching at third base. Bases loaded. 2-2 count still on Ron Fairley. Ron was really tough in this park last year. Now the pitch. Low for ball 3. A full count. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Well, here's a big pitch coming up right now. The bases are loaded. Maury Wills at third base. Willie Davis at second base, and Frank Howard at first. If there's ever a turning point in the ball game, this could be one right here. warming up in the bullpen for the Mets, Don Rowe. Infield back, they're looking for the double play to get Roger out of the inning. Now the pitch. Ground ball hit down to second. A chance for two. Over to second base, to first base, a double play. Double play number 28 for the Mets so far this year, and it came at the right time for Roger Craig. For the Dodgers, no runs on 2 hits. There were no errors, and 2 men were left on. And the score at the end of 2 1/2 innings of play, the Dodgers 2, the New York Mets 1. On tap now. Well, the New York Mets have been real good around the infield so far at the start of the year. Rookie Ron Hunt and Al Moran showing up very well defensively for the Mets. And right here, they have taken Roger Craig out of a real big jam by turning in double play number 28 on the year in 19 games. Now the Mets come to bat. They need 1 to tie. 2-1 in favor of the Dodgers, and the batter leading off will be Jim Hickman. Jim has scored the only win of the game for the Mets. On the mound, former Met pitcher Bob Miller. He has a great curve. Here's his first pitch. It's a curve, bouncing the dirt for ball 1. Miller has a record of 2 wins and no losses. That's 1 more win than he got all year for the Mets. Last year his record was 1-12. He won his last game for the Mets. There's the curve again to Hickman. It's low for ball 2. Jim batting .314. Now the 2-0 pitch from the right-hander. Fastball just outside. Ball 3. Jim Hickman leads the club in walks. Now the 3-0 pitch, a strike ball. So the count now, 3 balls and 1 strike. Hickman has picked up 11 walks so far this year. So with his base hits, he has been on base quite a few times, a total of 26. Now the pitch back, it's looked at, strike 2 ball. Miller again with a fastball, and that fills the count out, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Dodgers 2 runs on 5 hits. The Mets have 1 run and 4 hits. Now the 3-2 pitch. It's on the outside corner, strike 3. So 3 fastballs by Bob Miller. Catches Jim Hickman looking at all 3. And Miller has picked up his 3rd strikeout of the ball game, and he has 1 out here in the bottom half of the 3rd. 2-1 in favor of the Dodgers. And the batter coming up will be Ron Hunt. Ron had a perfect hit-and-run single to right field his first time up. He is 1 for 1. And that single giving him a .304 average for the year. Here's Bob Miller with his first pitch, a fastball outside for ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes. The on-deck batter, Duke Snyder. Duke drove in the only run for the Mets in the first inning. Now Miller a long look, so Ron Hunt stepped out of the batter's box. Miller, 24 years of age, started pitching in the major leagues when he was 18. He was signed off the San Rox of St. Louis. Now the 1-0 pitch by the right-hander, fastball high, ball 2. Bob moved right out to California when he was picked up by the Dodgers. He lives in Southern California. Little town not too far from Roger Craig. Buena Park, California. Roger lives in Lakewood, California. Now the 2-0 pitch pulls foul on the ground off of the front foot of the batter. So the count now 2 balls and 1 strike. Bob before that. Outfield hit it toward right field, and the next pitch is inside and high. Well, the Los Angeles Dodgers have never seen Ron Hunt bat, but the word gets around to hurry. Ron is a good right field hitter. He does not pull the ball too well. The Dodgers are playing him around toward right field. Now time called as John Roseboro goes out to talk to Miller. Evidently he crossed him up on that last pitch. It was a fastball high, and the way Roseboro caught it, and the fact that he went out to cut to Miller would indicate he was crossed up. He had called for a curve. So the count now, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Here's the windup in the pitch. It's high for ball 4. That is the second time that Hunt has reached first base, and that is the second walk issued by Bob Miller. And it will bring up Duke Snyder, 1 man out. The score 2-1. The Dodgers lead, so Hunt at first base is a tying run. Duke drove in the run that the Mets scored in the first inning when he bounced into a force play down to the third baseman, Junior Gilliam. Duke 0 for 1 in the game, has 9 runs batted in. That's second to Jim Hickman on the club. Jim leads the club with 12. And the first pitch, the left-hand batter, hits right hard on the ground down to Wills. A chance for 2. They throw to second in time. The first base not in time. A hard slide by Hunt at second base, making Oliver go high in the air. He got very little on the throw to first base, and Snyder beat the throw. That ball was hit very hard down to Maury Wills on the ground. 2 out now, and the batter, Frank Thomas. Thomas hit into a double play, his first time up. He is 0 for 1. And Frank right on top of the plate. In the batter's box now, he bats to the right-hand side. The Dodger outfield shifting toward left field. The shift not as prominent and predominant as it normally is. A curve by Miller is outside for ball 1. Most of the clubs will late Clay Thomas. Moore's a full hitter. And the Dodgers do right here. Incidentally, in left field, Ron Fairley plays very shallow. He is about as shallow as you can play in left field. Wind blowing in from center field, actually right center. Throw to first base, but Snyder gets back easily. Wind blowing very strongly in. It'll help a right-hand batter. Here's the first pitch. The strike call, the fastball, I should say the second pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. Any ball hit out to left field a little bit away from the foul line will be blown toward the left field stands. It will really aid in moving the ball toward the home run territory. Now the 1-1 pitch. A changeup on the outside corner. Strike 2. Bob Miller pulling the string very nicely. Now out in front. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Back on top and back to the plate. A curveball outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Roseboro, the catcher, faking a throw down the first. Duke Snyder was back so fast he had no chance to throw. Bill Skowron, the first baseman for the Los Angeles Dodgers. At second base, Pee Wee Oliver at shortstop. Almost hit Pee Wee Reese at shortstop. Maury Wells at third base. Jim Gilliam. Here's the pitch to Thomas. A curve. It's outside. That fills it out. 3 balls and 2 strikes. It'll give Duke Snyder a chance to run in the next pitch. The outfield for the Dodgers. Ron Fairley in left field. Willie Davis in center field. And Frank Howard in right. Tommy Davis still out because of an injury. He led the National League in batting average last year and was third in the most valuable player race. There goes Snyder, and the pitch is hit off the handle down the short. Maury Wills picks it up, throws across in plenty of time. Skowron one-hands it to retire the side. In the inning for the Mets, no runs, no hits, no errors, 1 walk, 1 man left. And the score at the end of 3 innings of play, the Dodgers 2, the New York Mets 1. We're moving now to the 4th inning. It's going to be John Roseboro leading off against Roger Craig. Roger, out of a big jam in the 3rd, has given up 2 runs. He has allowed 5 hits. Mets have 1 run on 4. The first pitch to Roseboro, a left-hand batter's a strike call. John popped up the second, his first time up. He is 0 for 1. Batting .221, he wears glasses. Now the 1 strike pitch, just off the outside part of the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Tickets for all these games here at the Polo Grounds and later on at Shea Stadium available at 3 convenient locations. Downtown at Grand Central Station and Pennsylvania Station right here at the Polo Grounds, the 3rd. There's a change-up low, 2 balls and 1 strike. Any of you fans listening here at the ballpark, you can take your way out by the advanced reservation window on the 8th Avenue side and pick up tickets for the future games. Now the 2-1 pitch to Roseboro. There's one hit off the end of the bat, a broken bat, into the foul territory area down the right field line. It's strike for strike 2. Roseboro will go back to the bat rack for another bat. His hands are really strung in that one. 2 balls and 2 strikes, and while we wait for John Roseboro to come up to the batter's box, we'll use the opportunity to pause for station identification.
This is WGY, 810 on your radio dial, Schenectady, with the smoothest sound around.
Bob Kiner along with Bob Murphy and Lindsey Nelson from the Polo Grounds in New York. It's the top of the 4th inning. The score 2-1 in favor of the Dodgers. Dodgers batting with no one out. Here's Roger Craig with a 2-2 pitch. A swing and a miss. He struck him out. Strikeout number 2 for Roger. He has not walked the batter, giving up 5 hits and 2 runs. And the batter now with 1 out, Bill Skowers. Bill drove in a run in the 2nd inning with a single off the wall down the left field line. Dodgers scored their 2nd run on a balk by Roger Craig. And the first pitch to Bill Skowers outside, a curveball, ball 1. Before the game, Skowers asked me, how do you hit in this ballpark? He said, this looks like a real tough one. Now the 1-0 pitch, a swing and a miss and a change of pace. 1 ball, 1 strike. Then he follows it up by saying, well, I'm going to go right down that right field line. He has real good power to right field, his best field. So what does he do? His first time up, he pulls the first pitch right down the left field line. Here's a 1-1 pitch, a swing and a curveball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Bill Skowers, a .270 hitter for the New York Yankees last year. He had 23 home runs and 80 runs batted in. Here's Craig back with a fastball. It's fouled back to home plate, out of play. So the count will stay at 1-2. In the starting lineup for the Los Angeles Dodgers, only 1 player other than the pitcher never stole a base last year. That was Bill Skowers. Maury Wills had 104, Jim Gilliam 17, Willie Davis 32, Frank Howard had 1, so did Ron Fairley. John Roseboro had 12, Skowers none, and Pee Wee Oliver stole 12 bases for Spokane in the Pacific Coast League. Dodgers with great running speed. They lead here 2-1. Roger Craig working on Skowers. Now the 1-2 pitch. There's one hit foul down the left field line. It'll go out of play. So the count holds at 1-2. And Skowers, who did not leave the batter's box, comes back in a hurry to hitting position. Vince Scully, the announcer for the Los Angeles Dodgers, who announced for the Dodgers in Brooklyn, wishing to pass on a real nice hello to his mother that he can't really talk to here. His broadcast going back to Los Angeles. He lives in Jersey. 1-2 pitch, again a foul ball. So for the 3rd time, Skowers stays alive. Count holds at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Makes his home out in California. He's almost a converted Californian. He still sort of holds a real warm spot for New York, though. Lives out near Riviera Country Club in California. There's a bouncing fastball. Ball 2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Deep against the big moose. He has good straightaway power. Now Roger into the windup. And here's the pitch. He struck him out. Roger Craig with his 2nd strikeout in a row, his 3rd in the game. Getting Moose Skowers on the curveball, swinging. And with 2 out, the batter will be Pee Wee Oliver. Another strikeout victim of Rogers. He struck out swinging in the second inning. Oliver so far this year batting .230, and he looks at a strike for strike one. Last year he batted .317 for Spokane. The AAA ball dropping the Pacific Coast League. Now the one strike pitch. Roger with a slider outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Dodgers 2, the New York Mets 1 in their first meeting of the 1963 season. They'll be playing tomorrow night. So for those of you who didn't make this one, plenty of tickets available for tomorrow night. There's a called curveball on the outside corner. Strike 2. Strikes. 2 men out. Roger Craig to Pee Wee Oliver. The pitch back is inside, a fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Oliver had to move away. Roger pushing him away from the plate. Roger, after a fine first inning, gave up 2 runs on 3 hits in the second, was in trouble the third. He gave up 2 hits, but no runs. A double play getting him out of a jam there. Now he has 2 outs. Here in the fourth, there's a foul ball off the end of the bat, so the count will hold at 2-2. Oliver's a little fella, but he has good power. Good power for his size. He had 6 home runs. He drove in 60 runs for Spokane last year. So far this year, he has driven in 5. There's a pitch over. Look at strike 3. So Roger Craig strikes out the side. And at the end of 3 1/2 innings of play, the Dodgers 2, the New York Mets 1. A quick look at the scores in the National League. Houston and Pittsburgh postponed because of rain. San Francisco leads Philadelphia 4-2 after 2 1/2. Chicago and Cincinnati postponed rain there. Milwaukee and St. Louis not scheduled. We'll have a complete rundown of the National League and the American League at the end of the 4th inning. In the American League, New York and Chicago delayed because of rain. Washington at L.A., the first of a doubleheader. The scheduled pitchers, Rudolph against Turley. And Baltimore and Minnesota also postponed because of rain. Detroit, Cleveland, Boston, and Kansas City not scheduled. Well, plenty of rain around the lake, but right here, the weather is just about as nice as you could expect. A little breezy, but not too bad for this time of the year. Moving to the bottom half of the fourth, the score 2-1. Mets need 1 to tie. And Eddie Cranepool will lead off. And the first pitch to the left-hand batter is inside, ball 1. Cranepool singled to left field his first time up. And that base hit by Cranepool giving him the .289 average. Now Bob Miller into the windup and back with a curve. It's full foul on the ground. 1 ball, 1 strike. Miller through 3 innings has given up 1 run. He has allowed 4 hits while striking out 3, and he has walked 2. He has a record this year of 2 wins and no losses. He has pitched fine ball for the Dodgers. Now the 1-1 pitch to Cranepool. Fastball. He tried to hold up. It's hit foul out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Cranepool walking up his first time up before this big crowd. The biggest he's ever played in front of, I'm sure. And picking out a base hit, a line drive to left. Now the windup on the 1-2 pitch. Fastball inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bob Miller trying to work inside tight to Cranepool. After Cranepool, it'll be Charlie Neal and Al Moran. There's a pitch, a curve, it's over, strike 3 call. Joe Miller strikes out his 4th man. Strikeouts are even on both sides for starting pitchers. And the batter will be Charlie Neal, 1 man out. Charlie was the first strikeout victim of Bob Miller. Bob went on to strike out a another man in the second inning. Picked up his third in the third, and now has his fourth right here in the fourth. There's a pitch that's high for ball one. Dodgers 2, Mets 1. Neal batting from the right-hand side. And now Miller back to work with a fastball. It's fouled off to the right side, out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ed Fargo, the home plate umpire, firing the ball back to Bob Miller at the mound. Doug Harvey's umpiring at first base. Lee Wire making the calls at second. And Al Bollick, who made one call that Roger Craig didn't like, a balk call, is at third. A balk giving the Los Angeles Dodgers the lead run. They lead 2-1. There's a pitch way inside. It rocks Neal back, and the ball goes off of the glove of Roseboro back to the screen. 2 balls and 1 strike. Back to work. The 2-1 pitch. A curve on the outside corner. Perfect pitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bob Miller has a real good curveball. It breaks a long way and breaks sharply. That is his best pitch. With the Mets, he was wild with the curveball and didn't get the fastball over too well either. Now the 2-2 pitch. Curveball hits in the air to left field. Fairley now charging quickly. Wills is back. Wills calls and he makes the catch. So Miller has 2 out here in the bottom half of the 4th inning. The batter will be Al Moran. Moran singled to center field in his first time up. One of the 4 hits off the right-hander. Goes into his windup and throws a fastball for strike 1. Bob Miller wearing uniform number 1515. Not many pitchers get low numbers on their uniforms. Here's the 1 strike pitch. Fastball bounced to second. Oliver comes in. He picks the ball up. Throws to Skowron for out number 3. 3 up and 3 down for the Mets. With the score at the end of 4. The Dodgers 2 runs on 5 hits. They have left 3 on. The Mets have made 1 run on 4 hits. They have left 4 men on. Bob Miller is out to lead off in the 5th inning. And Rogers' delivery is outside and low. 1 ball, no strike. Craig out of his windup. The pitch gets the outside corner for a call strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Very strong wind blowing from right across toward left in favor of the right-hand hitter. The 1-1 pitch, a ground ball bounced to short. To his right, Moran. He has a long throw to make. Out, he got him by a running stride. Al Moran made as fine a play in the field in yesterday's game in Pittsburgh as we have seen all year long. Going to his right, in behind Charlie Neal to handle a ground ball. Whirl, jump, throw off balance, and make a real good throw. Maury Wills taking his time now before coming on to hit to give Bob Miller a chance to get back to the dugout and get his jacket and rest up a little bit. Charlie Neal comes in close at third as Maury Wills steps in. Maury 1 for 2. He singled to center field in the 3rd inning. Now Maury wants the ball examined by umpire Ed Fargo. And the ball is taken out of play. And right now would be a good time to light up a Viceroy. Find out what we mean when we say Viceroy's got the taste that's right. It'll be interesting to see the Houston Ball Club for the first time this year. They are really going with the youth movement. They have been using 4 youngsters on a fairly regular basis. Now Craig
Craig winds and pitches. Drag bunt. Off the mound comes Craig. He can't get it. Here comes Hunt. No play. A base hit for Maury Wills. Beauty of a drag bunt by Maury Wills. You can't drag one any better than that. Beyond the reach of Craig. Ron Hunt had the only chance, and Ron simply couldn't get to the ball in time to have a chance on the mercury-footed Maury Wills. That gives Wills 2 for 3 and brings up Junior Gilliam. Gilliam has flied to right, flied to center. He's 0 for 2. Crowd beginning to chant, go, go, go to Maury Wills. Through the first. He dives back head first. Now another throw to first. Safe. Close that tag. Rainbow got that tag on Wills in a hurry. Gilliam, the hitter. Gilliam, a lifetime 267 hitter after 10 years in the National League. Now the pitch to the plate, off the outside corner. 1 ball and no strikes. Junior Gilliam came to the Dodgers back in '53 after 2 years at Montreal. His rookie year, he hit .278. Craig, watching Wills, turns and leisurely takes over to Crane Pool. Score in the game, Dodgers 2 and the Mets 1. We're in the top half of the 5th inning. So the first, Wills getting back. Go to first. He has to dive head first this time. Maury Wills considers Roger Craig, Art Mahaffey, Warren Spahn about the 3 toughest pitchers to try and steal again. There he goes. The pitch is hit hard. Over the mound, grabbed by Moran out of second and thrown over the head of Eddie Greenpool into foul ground. Gilliam is going on to second, but Wills is out on a good play. The Dodgers playing hit and run. Result, Moran was able to make a play on a ball that was behind second base. Had the hit and run play not been on, that would have been a base hit to center field. But Moran made the play behind second. Got the force play on Maury Wills, but in trying for the double play, he threw the ball away, and Gilliam winds up on second. So it's a fielder's choice and an error charge to Al Moran. Willie Davis up to hit now with 2 men down and a runner on second. Willie had a double his last time up. 1 hit and 2 trips. Pitch by Craig. Swing and a miss, strike 1. A breaking ball down around the ankles, and he went right after it. Retired Bob Miller, the first man up here in the 5th inning, and then Maury Wills bunted for a hit. Maury was forced at second. Gilliam went all the way around to second on the high throw by Moran as he tried for the double play. Now Craig eyes the runner. The pitch to Willie Davis outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1 the count on Willie Davis. Now Roger comes to the stop. Looks at the runner at second, then throws. A curve inside and low ball, 2-1. In behind Junior Gilliam, but Gilliam not wandering very far away. 2-1 on slender Willie Davis. In high school, Willie was a pitcher, and he was a right-hand batter. Now the 2-1 pitch. Ball 3 outside. Craig behind on him now, 3-1. is waiting in the on-deck circle. Dodgers 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors. New York 1 run, 4 hits, and 1 error. The game is in the top of the 5th inning. Ball 4, and Willie Davis walks, and that brings up Frank Howard. That is the first walk that Craig has given. And it brings on the cleanup batter, Frank Howard. He lined a single down the left field line his first time up in the second inning, and was hit on the side with a pitch by Craig his second time up in the third inning. Howard 6'7". Awesome power. That's right-handed. Pitch by Roger. Curve outside and low. They try to keep that curveball in the knee-high outside corner and keep the ball out away from Frank Howard. Standing deep in the batter's box, constantly swishes that bat through while waiting. Now the pitch. Inside and low, it's ball 2. Ron Fairley, a tough hitter, is the on-deck batter. Now Craig coming to the crossroads against Frank Howard. He's behind on the count. 2 balls and no strikes. 2 men on and 2 men down. Here's the pitch on the way. Low and inside, ball 3. And now Roger is only a pitch away from loading him up for left-handed batting Ron Fairley. He'll be working hard now, trying to come back and get Frank Howard. Roger has always been the kind of pitcher, and you don't find too many, who works very successfully behind the hitter. Most pitchers concentrate on working in front of the batter. Down low, back to work in the bullpen now for the New York Mets. Pitching 3-0. Swinging a miss. He went right after it. But on 3-0, Craig threw him a low breaking ball down around the knees. He had the green light to try and hit that one over the left field roof. Leo DeRosa way down off the coaching lines to third with Howard batting. He wants to give him plenty of room. 3-1 pitch, swinging on this, strike 2. Another low breaking ball by Roger Craig. And the string is on now, 3-2 on Frank Howard. Taking his time, now goes to the rising bag. Once again, Craig coming up to a big situation. The runners will be in motion with 2 men down and 3-2 on Frank Howard. Gilliam, the lead runner on second, Willie Davis on first. Now Roger steps off. Eddie Craneboule darted in for a possible play on Willie Davis at first. Roger Craig is giving Howard a wait. Now the pitch on the way. Swinging on this and struck him out. No runs, 1 hit, 1 error, and 2 left. You can't come from behind on a hitter or pitch behind a hitter any better than that. And now at the end of 4.5 innings to score, the Dodgers 2 and the Mets 1. Man in the New York Mets batting order will be out to face Bob Miller now, the last half of the 5th inning. Dodgers 2 runs, 6 hits, and no errors. Mets 1 run, 4 hits, and 1 error. While we're waiting for Norm Sherry, let's pause for station identification.
This is the General Electric station, WGY 810 on your radio dial, Schenectady.
Stepping in against Bob Miller. Norm drew a walk his only time up in the second inning. including a home run. This was the 7th home game of the year for New York. The Mets have won 4 and lost 2 in the Polo Grounds. Bob Miller winding up. Down comes his pitch. Low and outside, ball 1. The crowd rising behind every pitch, rooting for the New York Mets. Now Sherry waiting. And the pitch is over at the knees for a call strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. First 3 weeks of the season, Bob Miller has been the best pitcher on the Dodgers staff. The 1-1 pitch in the dirt all the way to the backstop. No damage done with nobody on. The count 2-1 now on Norm Sherry. Duke Snyder drove in the run for the New York Mets in the first inning. The Dodgers picked up 2 runs in the second with Bill Skowron driving a run in. And a tie-breaking run crossing the plate on a balk call by Al Barley. Here's the 2-1 delivery. Outside and low, ball 3, 3-1. There were many games last year in which Bob Miller would pitch real well for the first 5 or 6 innings. Then he would run into troubles in the late innings. This year he has already turned 2 9-inning performances. In comes the pitch. Sherry takes all away, and it's over for a strike, so now it's 3-2. Norm trying to get on so that Craig could help to try and punt him over to second. Roger has his jacket on, and he's out in the on-deck circle. Full count, 3-2 on Norm Sherry. A ground ball slowly hit towards second. Fielded by Pee Wee Oliver, he pegs on to Skowron in time to get Norm Sherry. That'll bring up Roger Craig. Give him a hand. He has pitched a strong ball game. He's had to pitch out of a couple of real tough jams. Roger Craig, he lays off, and it's outside and low, ball 1. Base hits have never been easy for Roger Craig to acquire. He didn't offer it that one. Squared around as though he might bunt, but he was just taking all the way. 1 ball and 1 strike. The 1-1 pitch. A knee-high fastball for a call strike. 1-2 on Craig. Been keeping those pitches down around the knees, and he has good, strong stuff. Good fastball and a curve that has been snapping off, and he's been getting it over. The 1-2 delivery. Curve way outside. Count even now. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
We interrupt this program for just a few moments to bring you a bulletin from the WGY newsroom. Here is Hal Green reporting from a WGY mobile unit.
At approximately 9 o'clock tonight at the corner of Campbell Avenue and 11th, motorcycle patrolman Bernard Waldron was struck by a station wagon driven by Lucy Venequista, address unknown, according to Schenectady police. The Venequista auto was traveling west on Campbell Avenue when it struck the eastbound Waldron, knocking the cycle on the sidewalk. Waldron was taken to Ellis Hospital with a broken leg and possible internal injuries. Those are all the details we have at this time. This is Hal Green, WGY News.
This has been a bulletin from the WGY newsroom. You've just heard a report from Hal Green, speaking from a WGY mobile unit on the scene of this accident in Schenectady less than half an hour ago. We return you now to the ball game already in progress.
The outfield a stride toward left. Breaking ball in the dirt, outside and low. 1 ball and no strikes. the Mets 1. We're in the bottom half of the fifth inning. Now Miller over the hit. Down comes the arm. He gets the outside corner on a fastball. 1 ball and 1 strike. Last time Jim came up to hit, Miller got behind him 3-0. Then Jim took 3 pitches and was called out on strike. Swing and a miss on a breaking ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. This seat's available for the concluding game of this 2-game series tomorrow night. Hope you're planning to be with us. Strike 3 call. The curve on the outside corner, and Hickman knew it. So Hickman is called out on strike. Strikeout number 6 for Bob Miller. No runs, no hits, no errors, and none left on. 5 innings complete, and the score, the Dodgers 2 and the Mets 1. Now we go to the 6th inning. Ron Fairley will be leading off against Roger Craig. Looking in for his side. 1 hit and 2 times up. Have to jump and get out of the way of a curve in the dirt. 1 ball and no strike. Well, some of the Dodger fans who were saddened when the Dodgers left Brooklyn and went to the West Coast have hung a banner out of the upper deck in the right field corner saying, "O'Malley, go home." Nobody out. We're in the top of the 6th inning. Now Craig into his windup. The pitch to Fairley off the outside corner. Ball 2, 2-0. Dodgers leading 2-1. That's over. A breaking ball for a call strike. 2-1. This game should wind up this way, 2-1. There'll be a lot of questions and answers. Outside, it's ball 3. Right now, the Dodgers lead on a balk called by third base umpire Al Barlick. Which enabled Ron Fairley to come in and score. The balk was called with 2 men down and the pitcher Bob Miller up. Now Craig pitches 3-1 to Fairley. A towering pop foul over toward the crowd. Moving over near the field boxes, Charlie Neal, but he has no play. Beyond his reach and into the crowd. Oh, we have a lot of banners in the ballpark tonight. Opening day this year, when the Mets opened against the Cardinals, you never saw so many banners welcoming Duke Snider. Roger Craig looking in now to Norm Sherry. The count 3-2 on Ron Fairley. A high fly ball hit to right field. Duke Snider is coming in, makes the catch. Craig, who was behind on Fairley 3-1, comes back to get him out. Amazing the way Craig can consistently work behind 2-0, 3-1, even 3-0, and come right back to get the hitter out. He has that good control and that great confidence. He's willing to go behind to try and get a hitter to go for a bad ball on the first pitch or two. Johnny Roseboro takes a fastball over for a call, strike 1. Nobody on. We're in the top of the 6th inning. Now Roger cranks up. Here's his pitch. A swing and a miss on a bad ball. A breaking pitch. Inside, down around the knees. And the count strike 2 on Johnny Roseboro. Johnny really uncorked the swing of that one. Let's have the outfield deep and around to right against Roseboro. Ron Hunt back on the rim of the outfield grass. Eddie Cranepool deep behind the bag at first base. Roseboro, the closed batting stance, holds the bat off the shoulder. A high pop fly to hard to reach. Coming hard is Jim Hickman, and he makes the catch in short center field. Fly ball to short center, taken by Jim Hickman as he had to come hard to get in and reach it. 2 outs now, and the hitter coming up, Bill Skowron. The Moose single to left field in the second inning, driving in Frank Howard. He was struck out by Craig in the 4th inning. Craig out of his windup. Here's the pitch. Foul ball hit back upstairs and out of play. In the Polo grounds tonight, as it was for years at Yankee Stadium, when the Moose would come up, you'd hear all over the ballpark, Moose, Moose. And when the Moose is loose, boy, he can hit him. Thomas playing Skowron deep in left field. Craig winding, here's the pitch. A slow grounder coming in hard is Charlie Neal. He picks it up, he fires. In time, the side is out. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on. Another strong inning for Roger Craig. At the end of 5 1/2 innings, the score Dodgers 2 and the Mets 1. If you like music, I think you'll love this. Yeah, let's get some fun. Game delayed rain. 2 innings played in Los Angeles. First game of a doubleheader. Washington nothing, Los Angeles nothing. Rudolph against Hurley. Baltimore and Minnesota rained out of a day game. Now Ron Hunt is stepping in against Bob Miller. Miller has thrown 3 hitless innings in a row after giving up 1 run and 4 hits the first 2 innings. Down comes his pitch. Fastball off the outside corner. 1 ball and no strikes. No strikes. Here's the pitch on the way. And the fastball is over 1-1. No strikes. Here's the pitch on the way. And the fastball is over 1-1. Nobody out. Last half of the 6th inning, a 2-1 ball game. Miller batting in on his target. Delivers. A ground ball hit hard. Grabbed by Skowron and a great catch. He steps on first, robbing Hunt of a base hit. Beautiful play on the field by Bill Skowron. A hard grounder that looked like it was going to go between Skowron and the bag and down the line maybe for 2. Skowron left his feet, made a head-first dive, and smothered the ball with one hand. Highway robbery that time. One away and nobody on. That brings on Duke Snyder. Pitch is over for a strike to Duke Snyder. on the way. Inside, and the Duke has to step back and let it go. 1 ball and 1 strike. Crouch behind the plate, gives the sign. Now Miller winds. Here's the pitch. Inside and low, he tried to backhand it, and the count goes 2-1 on Duke Snyder. Something Duke would rather do right here than come up with a long hit against his old teammates as he plays against the Dodgers for the first time. Duke reached safely on a fielder's choice in the first inning on a ground ball. And while the attempted double play was underway, Jim Hickman came in to score. Pitches 2-1. A ground ball hits foul down toward Cookie Lavagetto on the lines of third, 2-2. Snyder, the hitter, was Frank Thomas on deck, and then Eddie Cranepool. Dodgers with the outfield to stride toward right. The 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball that failed to act up for Bob Miller. It came in high, and the count is full now, 3-2. Miller has retired 8 men in a row. Duke was the last base runner against Miller. Snyder overly close fence. Now the payoff pitch to Duke. Inside, it's ball 4, and Snyder is on. That is the third walk given up by right-hander Bob Miller, and it'll bring on to hit Frank Thomas. Frank grounded into a double play in the first inning and was thrown out in the third inning by Maury Wills, and so Thomas is 0 for 2. Night game tomorrow night with the Dodgers, then we get our first look at the Houston Colt 45s on Wednesday night. Those of you planning to drive in tomorrow night, remember now, the Yankee Stadium parking facilities are available to you, as well as the parking locations in and around the Polo grounds. Now Miller off the stretch. Delivers to Thomas. He holds up on the swing, and he held up in time on a high curveball. 1 ball and no strike. The Dodger bullpen, and we're going to get some warm-up action in a minute out there. Thomas the batter, the pitch by Miller. A high foul ball hit back towards the roof, and it'll be out of play. Roseboro trailing back, hoping for a shot at it, but it's way beyond his reach. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Ron Baranowski are now starting to warm up for the Dodgers. Bob Miller up in pitching position. Now delivers to Thomas. A ground ball hit on the left side, fielded by Gilliam. He throws to second, 1 on to first. Double play. Side retired on the double play started by Junior Gilliam. He had to go off to his glove side to reach it. And then started the ball around the infield. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left on. At the end of 6 innings, the score, Los Angeles Dodgers 2 and the New York Mets 1. All right, Bob, through 6 innings to play, the Dodgers have 2 runs on 6 hits and no errors. The Mets have 1 run on 4 hits and 1 error. Roger Craig, who started for the Mets, is still in there, and so is Bob Miller, the starting pitcher for the Dodgers. Keep in mind that the Giants will be in here for a weekend series. Friday night will be Willie Mays' night, as Willie will be honored here at the Polo Grounds. Saturday afternoon will be Ladies' Day, a single game between the Giants and the Mets. And then Sunday afternoon, another big Sunday doubleheader. The San Francisco Giants back in the Polo Grounds against the New York Mets. Here in the top half of the 7th inning is Nate Oliver. Pee Wee Oliver, right-hand batter and second baseman. Big with the wind-up and the pitch a breaking ball. Swung on and fouled off to strike 1. Oliver is batting .220
27. Joe Becker is coaching on the lines at first base tonight for the Dodgers. And Leo DeRocher is the coach at third. That pitch is outside for ball. It's 1-1. Dodgers leading here by a score of 2-1. Roger Craig starts the windup, and here's the pitch to Oliver. Low and away for a ball. It's 2-1. Leo DeRocher did not come out of the Dodger clubhouse until just about game time tonight. He was not out during batting practice nor during the early infield practice. There were a host of writers around, of course, looking for Leo and talking to Walter Austin. Here's a pitch in there for a foul strike. It's 2-2. Second baseman, Pee-wee Oliver. Waits for the 2-2 pitch. A breaking ball. Swung on and foul back. Out of play. So the count holds at 2-2. The Dodgers played at home yesterday and then made the coast-to-coast junket. Pitch. Swung on, full foul on the ground. Back to third. Charlie Neal over to backhand it. The New York Mets with an infield alignment of Ed Kranepool at first, Ron Hunt at second, Al Moran at short, and Charlie Neal at third. Mike Thomas in left, Jim Hickman in center, and Duke Snyder in right field. There's a pitch in there for a call. Craig, strikeout number 6. And pitcher Bob Miller is due up here. He is still in the dugout, shedding the jacket right now, and he's coming out. You'll recall that during the offseason there was a great deal of publicity about the fact that the major leagues would have the pitchers out on deck this year. Well, it turned out to be a rule in the American League and a suggestion in the National League, and not many clubs are bringing the pitchers out on deck. Here's a pitch in there for a called strike. One man out, nobody on base. Dodgers batting top half of the 7th inning. This is the first game of a 2-game series. They play again tomorrow night at 8. There's a breaking ball in there for a called strike 2 to Bob Miller. Been up twice. He grounded out short to first both times. Wind blowing stiffly across the field and slightly in here at the Polo Grounds. From right across toward left and in. Here's a swing and a ground ball to second. Hunt goes over, scoops it up, plays on to first. It's time. Nice play by Ron Hunt as he had to go part of his left on the outfield grass when he actually fielded the ball and then played it on in time to get Miller. Nobody on base, and Maury Wills is coming up. Maury has been up 3 times. He fouled out third, had a ground single up the middle, and executed a perfect drag bunt in the top half of the 5th inning. Got the ball by Roger Craig and then beat it out. Play being held up here for a moment as dust is being whirled about the infield by the wind. It's the Dodgers 2 and the Mets 1. Maury Wills hitting .250 for the season thus far, and he has stolen 4 bases. It's in there for a called strike. He is only 100 short of his stolen base mark of last year. Here's a pitch low for a ball. It's 1-1 to Wills. Busy man during the off-season on the banquet circuit. They had him hopping from here to there. He was the most valuable player in the National League last year. Here's a pitch for it. It's a high-hopping ground ball to short. Taken by Moran. Fires on in time. He's out. Side is retired. In the top of the 7th, the Dodgers
excitement, I don't know what to say, but it usually calls for the seventh inning stretch. Well, that's the fact that they're stretching and yelling and making all sorts of noise. And, of course, if you happen to be around home, what you think of is fine, cold Rheingold. Rheingold Extra Dry. And really, any nice time calls for Rheingold. It makes any wonderful day just a little bit more wonderful. But, of course, that figures because Rheingold is a dry beer. Yes, two little words, Extra Dry, tell you why Rheingold is the happy choice of midday. Extra Dry tells you Rheingold is brewed the long, slow, costly way that they smooth, get bright, and clear through. Rheingold is beer as beer should taste. That's why millions say my beer is Rheingold, the dry beer. So why not join them? Enjoy a tall, refreshing glass of Rheingold right now as they bring you more of the baseball action, and they keep saying, let's go Mets. I guess everybody's ready now. Well, they are indeed, and before we go into the bottom half of the seventh, in order to allow our stations to identify themselves, we pause now for station identification. At the Polo ground, along with a crowd of 23,494 paid, 790 service personnel, 24,284, the total in the ballpark. It's Monday night in New York City. They make enough noise for 100,000. You want to see baseball fans come out to really enjoy themselves? Come out and take a look at this crowd at the Polo ground. Here's Ed Cranepool. Come back for the Mets at the bottom half of the seventh inning. 18-year-old first baseman is 1 for 2 tonight. Facing right-hander Bob Miller, and listen to the support that crowd giving him. This is one on the line to the left field for a base hit. One hop to the wall. Played off the wall by Sand, and Cranepool on the way to second. The throw not in time. He slides in, just at second.
This is WGY Schenectady.
Ed Cranepool with a sharp double to left field is on the bag at second. There's a conference at the mound. Roseborough has gone out there. Jim Gilliam has gone out there. The New York Mets have moved the potential tying run into scoring position at second. Action in the bullpen. Double barrel action for the Dodgers. Ron Baranowski and Ed Robot. Coming up for the Mets now is Charlie Neal. He hit into a double play, a strikeout double play. Actually, he was trying to protect Cranepool running on a hit-and-run play on the second, struck out, and it turned into a strikeout double play when Cranepool was thrown out, and Neal popped out the shortstop in the fourth. Action in the Met bullpen. McKenzie, here's a pitch swung on, fouled out to the right side, out of play for strike one. Left-hander Jim McKenzie throwing in the bullpen for the Mets. Casey Stengel wants to be ready just in case the Mets can keep this rally going until they get down to the number 9 spot in the batting order. If they do and need a pinch hitter, he'll be set to go to it because he'll have McKenzie ready. Charlie Neal, a right-hand batter. Spent his major league career with the Dodgers until he came to the Mets. Miller with a stretch, and here's the pitch. The ball is funny down the first base line. Miller overruns it. On his first, all hands in place. Cranepool at third. Lavagetta, the coach at third. Now he steps back in. The Dodgers lead by a score of 2-1, but the Mets are threatening here. They have that infield back and double played up. At third base, Gilliam is in on the edge of the grass. Here is the pitch. Swung on, and there's a pop foul to the right side, out of play. 1-1 to count. To Moran, who singled up the middle to center field in the bottom half of the second and grounded out second to first in the fourth. Bob Miller started and come all the way for the Dodgers. Which the Red crowd roar. Now Miller is set to the 1-1 pitch. Swung on, and there's a fly ball foul on the right field line, curving in and out of play. So the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes to Moran. Norm Sherry on deck for the Mets. What they'd like most of all to do is to get that run in from third to get this game all even. Ed Greenpool is the runner there. So now time has been called and Moran walks down to have a conversation with Coach Cookie Lavagetta. Cookie now gives him a little encouragement as Cookie goes back to the coaching lines at third. Now Moran settles himself back in the batting box to face right-hander Bob Miller. Charlie Neal, the base runner in first. Ed Greenpool leads down the line at third. Let's go Mets, what the crowd is saying. This is a 1-2 pitch. Blowing away, gets by. Greenpool is coming home. Charlie Neal is down to second, going to third. Charlie Neal changes his mind and goes back to second. A run scored, and it's tied 2-2. It's a wild pitch. First it is a wild pitch against Miller. The Mets 2 and the Dodgers 2. Well, Bob Miller unforced a wild pitch there, and I would have to say if you must credit the crowd with an assist in that circumstance, because they were up and yelling and screaming, and now the Polo ground is being littered with bits of paper, torn programs, floating in the breeze. It looks as though it's snowing here at the Polo ground. Moran stepped in with a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Charlie Neal is at second. Charlie rounded second and was well down toward third. He started to hold up and went back to second. Now the 2-2 pitch. Low in the dirt. Taken by Rosemary. So the count is full now at 3-2. I know Greg Lindbergh got this brisket ready when he came back from that trip to Europe. I'll tell you can't get this much on Lower Broadway. The canyons of Lower Broadway haven't heard the enthusiasm and noise of a crowd like this in a long, long time. This will be a payoff pitch to Moran. Swung on, foul back, it's out of play. The count holds at 3-2. Still nobody out for the Mets batting here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. As they've come on the side, it's the Mets 2 and the Dodgers 2. Leonowski and Roebuck still are throwing in the bullpen for Walter Alston's Dodgers. And McKenzie still warming up for Casey Single's Mets. Now again, Miller is set. Here's the payoff pitch. Swung on a ground ball to short. It's going through. A base hit. Neal is on his way to third. He's going to hold up. Ron Fairley had to pick it up. Actually, Murray Wills deflected the ball, but it is a base hit for Moran. His second of the night. Time is called. Runners at first and third. Smokey Alston is on his way to the mound. Walter Alston on his way to the mound. So the Dodger manager wants the right-hander. The time going out to the bullpen, that would be Ed Roebuck. So the time is going to the bullpen for Roebuck. As the Mets have managed to get to Bob Miller here in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Recapping that last play, it was a smash to short by Al Moran, and Maury Wills, when he's far to his right as he could go, did barely get the glove on it as he lunged for it, deflected the ball out into left field, and Charlie Neal had held up. He was going to make it be through. He continued on to third. Ron Fairley hastened in from left to play the ball back in. So it is now Moran at first and Charlie Neal at third. The ground crew has come out here now to clean up the bits of paper, and Ed Roebuck is coming on to pitch. And right now, as we get the pitching change, the action's right here at the Polo Grounds, the way this thing has been going. But Houston was scheduled at Pittsburgh. That game has been postponed because of rain. One game other than this one in the National League being played, San Francisco at Philadelphia. The score of that one 4-3 in favor of the Giants. Pitching for San Francisco, Fisher going for Philadelphia now in place of Cal McClish's Clipstein. Chicago was scheduled at Cincinnati. That game has been postponed because of rain. Milwaukee at St. Louis not scheduled. In the American League, the New York Yankees-Chicago game has been delayed because of rain. Washington playing at Los Angeles, and they lead 2-1 through 3 innings. Rudolph going against Turley. That's the first of two. Baltimore was scheduled at Minnesota, but that game also has been postponed because of rain. Detroit, Cleveland, Boston, and Kansas City not scheduled. Okay, well, it's Roebuck now, and we're going to get a pinch hitter for the Mets. It's going to be Marvelous Miles Thornberry. Here's the announcement of Thornberry. Thornberry is batting for Norm Sherry. He's a left-hand batter. Roebuck warming up. This is the fourth day in a row that the Dodgers have called on reliever Ed Roebuck, and this is his ninth appearance of the season. He has a record of 1 victory and 2 losses, an earned run average of 3.09. He has struck out 7 and walked 7. In 11 and 2/3 innings, he has given up 6 runs on 14 hits. So Bob Miller is out of the ballgame, having pitched 7 innings and faced 3 batters in the third. He has allowed 2 runs, is responsible for the 2 runners left. He has given up 7 hits, struck out 6 and walked 3. Thornberry as a pinch hitter, as the New York Mets hope for some way to get this runner in. A long fly ball to the outfield, perhaps. The Dodgers in turn bring the infield in to try to cut off the go-ahead run at the plate. Moran leads at first. Neal leads down the line at third. And Roebuck's pitch is low for ball 1. Dug up by catcher John Roseboro. The Mets making a busy go-ahead here with nobody out in the bottom half of the 7th inning. Action at the Polo Grounds. Thornberry has been up 11 times this year, and he has 2 hits, 1 double, and 1
Showgrounds in New York. The Mets with 3 runs on 7 hits. The Dodgers with 2 runs on 6 hits. Let's go Mets. There's a payoff pitch to Thornberry. He walks it. Miles draws the walk, goes to first. Holding it second is Al Moran, and with nobody out, Roger Craig is coming up. The Dodgers will be defending against the likelihood of a sacrifice in this circumstance. And they're going to get a runner. Rod Kenneal's going to run for Thornberry. And Casey Single goes to a little more speed on the bases to try to evade the possibility of a double play. Thornberry comes out of the ball game, and Kenneal comes in. Roger Craig has been up twice tonight, struck out swinging both times. Has been up 13 times this season without a hit. So that brings first baseman Bill Skowron in, and so does it bring in third baseman Jim Gilliam. He spreads to the bunt, tries to punt, and it's strike one. Maury Wells dashing over to cover third, and Jim Gilliam was charging down the line as they were going to try to go for the fourth there if at all possible. Bruce Skowron charging on the pitch in his position at first base. Roger Craig squared around. The sacrifice was on. He punted the ball, missed it. It's strike one. Skowron stays in on the edge of the grass at first base. And Simon's call now as Craig goes over to have a word with Coach Cookie Lavagetta. He wants to be absolutely certain that they have the signs straightened out here. The Dodgers had shortstop Maury Wells racing over to cover third that time as they had charged Gilliam all the way. All right, again, he's in and waiting. Here's the pitch, and he punts and misses. There's a throw to third, and he is out at third base. And Cookie Lavagetta is up and arguing, and so is Moran. The throw was taken by Gilliam, and Moran and Cookie are arguing, and now Cookie is pushing Moran away. Casey Single walks out slowly. Al Barley called the play. Cookie now says to Moran, go on in the dugout. He doesn't want to lose him. Cookie continues the argument. The throw was from catcher John Roseborough to Jim Gilliam at third as they had Moran going. Of course, moving to second on the play is Kenneal. It's one away. As again, Roger Craig was trying to bunt the ball. Casey Single stops to talk with plate umpire Marco. Turns and goes slowly back now. 1 man out, a runner at second. The Mets lead by a score of 3-2. And now a fan has come out onto the field, heading over towards third base umpire Barlick, and he is being stopped by policemen. By police bringing off the field. He's got to within about 2 feet of Barlick. The count to Roger Craig is 2 strikes. Ed Roebuck is up and into the stretch. Kenneal leads at second. Here's the pitch, and it's in there for a call, strike 3. Craig is the strikeout victim. 2 men away from the Mets. That'll bring up Jim Hickman. Third time tonight that Roger Craig has gone down via the strikeout route. Jim Hickman coming up. He singles, snatch one to open for the Mets in the bottom of the first. He later scores. But called out on strikes in the third and called out on strikes in the fifth. Kenneal leads at second. Roebuck into the stretch. The pitch to the right-hand batter is blowing away for ball 1. The New York Mets got a run here on a balk call, just as the Dodgers did earlier. They have scored 2 runs here in the bottom of the 7th to go ahead by a score of 3-2. Playing a ground ball foul on the third baseline. Backhanded by Gilliam. Kenneal's already at third, but he'll have to go back. These same 2 teams, by the way, meet here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Out of 1-1 to Jim Hickman at the plate. This pitch is low and away. It's 2-1. You mean, Lindsay, they'll meet here tomorrow night if they get through this one? See, they might still be going, and I see a few fans. I think it's planned to
ninth inning, and Norm Cherry was taken out. The pitch to Morris Thornberry. Keneal leads at second base. 2 men out. A payoff pitch. Swung on in a drive down the left field line. It's a fair ball, and down the third and coming home. It's Keneal. Hickman turns and holds it first. The Cubs bring the left to the left side again. The Mets lead 4-2. Well, there seems to be little doubt that this is Jim Hickman's ballpark. He's got around on that one and filled it down the left field line. A clean made pitch that scored Keneal. He was running cleanly with 2 men out. Came on to score, and the Mets are out in front 4-2 with Ron Hutt stepping into the batter's box. Hickman, the base runner, is first. Mets now have 4 runs on 8 hits. They've scored 3 of the runs in this inning, the bottom half of the 7th. Now a little dust goes across the infield, and time is called by plate umpiring in Fargo. Pitch is outside for ball. Pitch out as they figured they might have the hit and run going, but it wasn't. That last run is charged against Roebuck because he walked Thornberry. Keneal came in to run for him, so he charged that one against Roebuck. However, Miller is the pitcher of record. He gave up 3 runs. Was charged with the go-ahead run that was scored by the Mets after he left. Roebuck comes from set. Pitch to Hutt. Hickman's running, and it's swinging down ball. Going into left field. Hickman's on his way to third. Up with it is Sally to throw to second. Hutt slides in safely with a double. On the hit and run play, and ground ball. Now past Gilliam at third. It's the double, and the Mets have runners at second and third, and Duke Snyder is coming up. Ron Taranowski still is throwing in the bullpen. Catcher John Roseboro has gone to the mound. As the Mets have 2 runners in scoring position, they had Hickman going on a hit and run play, and Ron Hutt pulled the ball solidly on the ground, smashed it past Gilliam at third, and on down the line and left. Up with the ball, fairly made the throw to second, but not in time to get Hutt to score a double. Left-hand batter Duke Snyder is up. First base is open, and I think they're going to put him on, and that is just what they're going to do. He's being intentionally walked. Snyder is being intentionally walked. Mike Thomas is on deck. Jack Smith throwing in the bullpen now for the Dodgers as Snyder has been intentionally walked. He goes to first. The bases are loaded. Mike Thomas is coming up. He is the 9th man to come up here for the Mets in this inning as they have batted around. Thomas, that's in the cleanup position in the Mets batting order. Tonight he has hit into 2 double plays and grounded out short to first. Time called by first base umpire Doug Harvey for the moment. As Charlie Hemus holds up play, and we're getting Cliff Cook coming over to run. Cliff Cook is running for Duke Snyder. The ovation is for Snyder coming out of the game. Bases loaded for the Mets. Thomas, the right-hand batter. Here's Roebuck with the pitch. Swung on as a ground ball to short. Murray Wills over. Short hop it up to go to first. It's low, and he is out. As it was dug up by Bill Scowen, and he got to the bag in time. Thomas grounds out short to first, but in. The bottom half of the 7th inning, the Mets got 3 runs on 5 hits. There were no errors, 1 balk, and 3 men left on base. And so at the end of 7 innings of play, the score is the Mets 4, the Dodgers 2. If you like... Now we have changes for the Mets. Coming in at first base is Gil Hodges. Cliff Cook stays in at right field. Rod Keneal in left field. And Choo-Choo Coleman is catching. Keneal has been announced in left field. Will Hodges is announced. Now that is Cliff Cook announced in right field. Craig, of course, still in the game. Casey Stengel is still getting his batting order straightened out with plate umpire Ed Fargo. Tennille, of course, staying in, must bat 8. And Cliff Cook must bat 3rd, but Gil Hodges now has got a bat in place of Ed Craneful. And Choo-Choo Coleman. Well, actually, Hodges and Coleman can bat 4th or 5th as the manager wishes, and we'll find out in a moment because Smokey Austin hasn't found out yet. Fargo is telling him right now. So the only questionable places are 4th and 5th. And since in the bottom of the 8th, the 5th place man would lead off, it's likely that Gil Hodges might be batting in place of Ed Craneful's 5th. We'll tell you about that in a moment, because right now Jim Gilliam is up to lead off for the Dodgers here in the top half of the 8th inning. Now Fargo comes back over to check with Casey again on that batting order. That is the problem. Who is going to bat where? The time is called for the bookkeeping chores. So Casey and Fargo go over the books again. It's all a matter of where does Choo-Choo bat and where does Hodges bat. And it's going to be Hodges 5th to lead off the next inning and Choo-Choo 4th. Now that is trouble. And to the business at hand as Roger Craig faces switch hitter batting left-handed Jim Gilliam. 3 times without a hit. Here's a windup and a pitch. It is outside for a ball. That's 4 and the Dodgers 2. The announcement the batting order made that we just gave you. Here is the pitch outside for a ball. It's 2-0 now to Gilliam. And the crowd begins to get a little restless because they don't want to see a base runner on there. That sets up a situation of tying run at the plate. And with the power that the Dodgers have, that is dangerous in any circumstance. Here's the pitch in there for a tall strike. Roger blocked that one right in. He didn't want him on there any more than anybody else. It's 2-1. Is inside for a ball. Full count now to Jim Gilliam. Batting number 2 in the batting order. He'll be followed by Willie Davis and then Frank Howard. Hey, stick around. This ball game is a long way from over here at the Polo ground. There's a swing and a ground ball to second. Ron Hunt has it squared up with it plays over to Hodges. This time he's out. One away, nobody on, and that brings up Willie Davis. Left-hand batting speedster, batting number 3. Grounded out pitch to the first, doubled and walked. Roger Craig, the starter, still in the ball game for the New York Mets. Here is a windup and the pitch. In there for a call strike. Charlie Neal well in on the grass at 3rd against the possibility of Davis running that ball because he can slide on to first base. And of course, what the Dodgers want most right here is a base runner. Hodges in a little at first base against that same likelihood of the drag. Here's a pitch, a little number, fouled on the first base line out of play. A 2-strike count now to Willie Davis. Still you in areas down in right field and down toward the bullpen. It looks like looks as though it's been snowing. So many bits of paper torn up, fluttered down from the upper deck, thrown out onto the field. And the jubilation of the Mets 7th inning when they got 3 runs to go ahead here by a score of 4-2. Here's the 2-strike pitch. Swung on and it's a ground ball to second. A big hop to Hunt. Lays on over the inside to the out. And right now, in order to allow our stations to identify themselves, we pause for station identification. This is Lindsey off the wall and hold him to the double, and here is Ron Fairley coming up. Fairley scratched it in the top of the second. Hit into a double play in third and flied to right for sixth. But he represents potential tying run at the plate here for the Dodgers, and he has been dangerous in this ballpark. Short, and Charlie Neal is third. Choo-Choo Coleman is the catcher. Hands-on hit. Craig is getting a sign. Has it up and into the stretch. Howard leads at second base. The pitch to Fairley. Just misses outside. And it's 2-1. Craig hoping for a call. Comes down off the mound for a moment to take the return throw from Coleman. Two balks called in the game tonight. One against Roger Craig, which scored a Dodger run. One called against the Dodgers, which scored a Met run. Now Moran runs Howard back to the bag at second. No throw made there. Fairley steps out of the batter's box at the plate. Now he comes back in, and now comes out again as time is called. Now Fairley sets himself in the batter's box. Howard takes a short lead at second. Craig comes set. Here's the pitch. Swung on it, Nick. Got him on the breaking ball. It's 2-2. Here by a score of 4-2, with the Dodgers batting in the top half of the eighth inning. Craig getting a sign from Choo-Choo Coleman. He is off the rubber at this moment, rubbing up the ball. Now Craig comes set, and here's the pitch. Swung on, it's a little number. Craig is over, up with a place to Gil Hodges. The side is out. So Fairley grounds out, pitch to the first. In the top of the eighth, the Dodgers got no runs on one hit, no errors, and one left. And at the end of 7.5 innings at the Polo Grounds, the score is the New York Mets 4 and the Los Angeles Dodgers 2. And now, a word from Viceroy Cigarettes.
We're the brothers Ford. We're singing out a Viceroy melody. A Viceroy brand new slide top case as modern as can be. Now Viceroy sets the pace with the one and only slide top case. Slide open, slide shut tight. The crushed blue slide top case. That's right, that's right, that's right. Slide, take a light. Slide, shut the pipe. Slide top case exclusive. It's the only crushed case for you. The latest is the Viceroy slide with the case that's right. Right inside. Slide, slide open. Slide, shut tight. The Viceroy slide top case that's right. Viceroy tastes the way you'd like a build a cigarette to taste. Not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the taste that's right. That's right, that's right. Viceroy.
Gil Hodges will lead off for the Mets. Gil Hodges coming up. He's being announced right now. Bottom half of the eighth inning, and Ed Roebuck is still in there for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's a right-hander. The Mets lead by a score of 4-2 as Hodges settles himself into the batter's box. Roebuck into the windup, and here's the pitch. It's low for ball one, and Hodges goes out to pick up a piece of paper that blows across the field, tosses it away. The danger of a piece of paper blowing in front of the batter is that it catches his eye. As he is trying to concentrate on the ball, the white paper fluttering catches his eye. Here is a pitch. Swung on. It's a ground ball to second base. Pee Wee Oliver scoops it up, plays it on to first in time to get Hodges. So there is one away, and that brings up former Dodger Charlie Neal. Charlie 1 for 3 tonight, and he was the base runner who scored when the balk was called against the Dodgers in the 7th inning. Roebuck with a wind-up and a pitch to the right-hand batter. It's on the outside corner. Breaking ball for strike one. Al Moran moves to the on-deck position. Charlie Neal questions that call, talking to Ed Vargo. Roebuck works. Pitch is swung on. It's a ground ball to second. Nate Oliver on a big hop place to Bill Scowen in time. And Neal had grounded out. As both Hodges and Neal have gone, Oliver to Scowen, 2 away. Here is Al Moran, the 24-year-old shortstop who has 2 hits tonight and 3 times at bat. And as usual, has had a fine glove out there. He comes back over toward the bat rack. Because Casey Tingle has called him there for a conference. Casey is having a word with young Al Moran. Moran's batting average right now is .239. There's little question that Moran is the glue man of this infield. It is his glove that has been hanging them together as he has figured in so many of the double plays that the Mets have pulled off, and has come up with a few sensational plays, a good steady glove, and he has hit well, of course, tonight with 2 hits. Roebuck with the pitch, and it's in there for a called strike. Rod Canneel is on deck now. Canneel is batting number 8 in the batting order of the New York Mets. Next, he ran for Thornberry, who walked, and batting for Norm Sherry. His pitch is a called strike. 2 strike count out of Moran. It's the Mets 4, the Dodgers 2, in the bottom half of the 8th inning. If you'd like to look ahead to the top of the 9th, the Dodgers are scheduled to send up John Roseborough, Bill Scowen, and Pee Wee Oliver. Time called until the dust settles down on the infield. Now Moran settles himself back in the batter's box. Ed Roebuck into the windup. Here's the pitch. Swung out and missed. Strike 3. Struck him out. Roebuck gets the side out in order here. The bottom half of the 8th. No runs, no hits, no errors, none left at the end of 8. The score is the Mets 4, the Dodgers 2. Well, there are an awful lot of people around New York who want to know more about the New York Mets, and one of the real good ways to do it is to pick up a 1963 official New York Mets yearbook. They are now available with Mr. Met on the front cover, and there are over 100 pictures inside. Also, biographical and statistical information about your favorite Mets players. There's a story about Casey Tingle, stories about the coaches, Shea Stadium, the new Stadiorama scoreboard, highlights of last season, information about the farm clubs and the men behind the scenes, and there's one complete page of players' autographs. To obtain your copy of the 1963 yearbook, send 50 cents for each copy to Met Yearbook, Polo Grounds, New York, 39 New York. Or if you want to pick up your book in person, you can get them at Penn Station at the Met Ticket Office there, or at Grand Central at the Met Ticket Office there. Incidentally, the New York Yankees and the New York Mets will be meeting at Yankee Stadium on Monday night, June 3rd at 8 p.m. in the Mayor's Trophy game for the benefit of Sandlot Baseball in New York. Right now, coming up here, left-hand batter John Roseborough to face Roger Craig in the top half of the 9th inning. Roseborough pops to second, struck out swinging, and flies to center. Craig has the sign into the windup. Here's the pitch to the left-hand batter, low and away for ball 1. Have 4 runs on 9 hits. The Dodgers have 2 runs on 7 hits. McKenzie and Stallard in double barrel action in the Met bullpen. Roger Craig with the pitch. Swung on and it's fouled off. Stanley Neal gives it a run. Choo-Choo gives it a run, but this one is on the step of the dugout. Neither of them can get to it. Out of play. On the step of the Dodger dugout. Along the third base line. Count of 1 ball and 1 strike to Roseborough. Charlie Neal laying it on the edge of the grass again. Try to protect against the possibility of a ball being bunted there or to field a ground ball. It's a called strike. Low curveball right in there. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Roger Craig started and come all the way against his former teammate. That he helped so very much in 2 runs to the National League pennant. 1955 and again in 1959. Roger Craig was one of the mainstays for the Dodgers in the stretch. Here is the 1-2 pitch to Roseborough. Swung on and missed. Struck him out. Strikeout number 7 for Roger Craig. That brings up Moose Skowron. Single sharply to left to drive in a run in the second inning. Struck out swinging in the 4th inning. Grounded out 3rd to 1st in the 6th inning. circle, swinging the bat, preparatory to batting for Pee Wee Oliver, due up next. Here's a pitch low, and Moose Gowan simply bluffed with the bat in taking the pitch. Sort of slid the hand up the bat and made a forward motion just in bluffing to take it for ball one. Again, Craig with the windup, and the pitch to Moose. It's fired a little tight, and ball two. Dodgers two with one man out, nobody on base. Top half of the ninth inning. Here is the 2-0 pitch to Skowron. He took a big stride, took it inside for a ball. It's 3-0. But the thing that the Dodgers want is a base runner to set up a situation of tying runs to place if they fail by two. And the count on Skowron is gone to 3 balls and no strikes. Wally Moon due up next. Inside, he walks. Craig pounds his hand into the glove. And it's only the second walk given up tonight by Craig. They get the base runner they want, and Wally Moon is coming up to bat for Oliver. Here's a man who made a career out of hitting balls into the screen in Los Angeles when they played the Coliseum. And punched that ball to the opposite field. If I were you, I sure know what I'd be doing right now. I'd be pouring myself a tall, frosty glass of Rheingold Extra Dry. Rheingold is serious to good base and dry, don't you why? There is action in the Dodger bullpen as Jack Smith, the right-hander, is up and throwing. Left-hand batter, Wally Moon is in now with Skowron the base runner at first and one man out. Here is the pitch to Moon. It's outside for ball one. Craig just missing off the corner. Casey Stengel staring intently out onto the field. And now Tommy Davis has come out with a bat in the on-deck circle. Tommy Davis, who got out of the hospital just last Friday, is out here with a bat. As the Dodgers feel they need him and they're going to call on him. Here's a pitch in there for a call strike. Most of the followers of the Dodgers had presumed that Tommy Davis would not participate in this series. He has been hospitalized with a full hamstring muscle. But he is swinging bats now in the on-deck circle. Breaking ball is high to Wally Moon. And Craig goes behind, 2 balls and 1 strike. And that's lead here by a score of 4-2. What they'd like most to do would be to have Moon hit that ball on the ground so they could try for a game-ending double play. Here's a pitch, and it's in there. A ball strike, 2-2. Moose Skowron standing at the moment right on the bag at first. Jack Smith still throwing in the bullpen for the Dodgers. Mackenzie and Salad still throwing for the Mets. Here's the pitch to Moon. Swung on and fouled off. He's still alive at 2-2. Went for a breaking ball, chopped it right down foul. So the count holds at 2-2. Tommy Davis still swinging those bats. Tommy Davis led the major league. No matter of batting averages last year. He is Brooklyn-born. Signed initially with the Dodgers because he said he wanted to play in Brooklyn. He wanted to play in Ebbets Field. But by the time Tommy Davis got to the major leagues, there was no Ebbets Field, and the Dodgers were in Los Angeles. But the man of the hour for the Dodgers is Moon at the plate with a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Roger Craig takes a look over at Skowron. Now he is set. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Fouled off. He's still alive. A half-hearted swing. A check by Wally Moon. Just got a little of the bat on the ball, and it's 2-2. Roger Craig trying to keep that ball down low to Wally Moon to keep him from punching it to the opposite field. The knack that he picked up in the 4 years the Dodgers spent at the Los Angeles Coliseum. Since they had moved to the new big Dodger ballpark, they've had very little work for this fellow. Skowron leads off the bag at first. Here is the 2-2 pitch. It misses low and away, and it's out full now at 3-2 with 1 man out. Moose Skowron takes a look over at fine man Leo DeRocher at third now. Lead by a score of 4-2. Skowron leads off the bag at first. Pitch is swung on. It's a ground ball to Hunt. Up for then he goes to Moran. He's out to throw to first. He beats the relay, and Hodges gave him all the help he could. But he beats the relay. They got the man at second. Hodges did the split at first base, stretched way out there. Holtby trying to give Al Moran all the help on the relay, but Moon barely beat it by a half step. Second baseman Ron Hunt had to go to his left to get the ground balls in, had to make the pivot and the throw back over as they got the lead man, and Tommy Davis comes up here. Tommy Davis has a batting average for the season of 300. He has 2 runs batted in, 2 doubles. This is the first time that he has been in action for a long, long time. He has been in the hospital, and he's been convalescing since the weekend. A right-hand batter up there now and waiting as Roger Craig delivers, and it's low for ball 1. The Dodgers came in here with a record of 10 victories and 10 losses. The fact that they are using Davis is indicative of how much they want to try to get back in this ball game. Top half of the ninth, 2 men out. Wally Moon, the base runner, is first. As a breaking ball low to Tommy Davis. 2-0, and Roger Craig goes behind the hill. Davis, of course, is batting for pitcher Ed Roebuck here. That's Wally Moon batting for Pee Wee Oliver. Jack Smith still is throwing in the bullpen for the Dodgers. Moon leads at first, and here's the pitch. Here's the call strike. As Davis started to bat around, checked it, and he checked with Vargo saying, "Did you call it, or do you think I swung?" And apparently Vargo satisfied him by saying it was a call strike because he stepped back into the batter's box. 2 balls and 1 strike. Hodges is making no effort to hold Wally Moon on his first. Here's a pitch swung on a ground ball deep to third, and Neal is going to Hunt for the fourth. The game's over, and that's 4-2. And fans are racing onto the field here at the Polo Ground. The Met players are racing for the clubhouse to show the Dodger players as a few fans jumped out of the stands and started pursuing their heroes. Keep in mind that these same 2 teams will be meeting here again tomorrow night. Game time is 8 p.m. Tickets are on sale, and there are good seats available. You can pick up your tickets at Grand Central Station tomorrow morning, or at Pennsylvania Station, or at the advanced ticket window here at the Polo Ground. In the top half of the 9th inning, the Dodgers got no runs, on no hits, no errors, and 1 left. We'll be back in a moment with a final summary and totals. Right now, the final score of the ball game is the Mets 4, the Dodgers 2.
My beer is Rheingold, the dry beer. Think of Rheingold whenever you buy beer. It's not bitter, not sweet. It's the dry flavored treat. Won't you try extra dry Rheingold beer?
And now you can enjoy famous Rheingold Extra Dry in the new Jug-a-Mug. It's the first and only beer container with a wide mouth and a top that's so easy to open. Just pull the tab on top straight out, then straight up, and off. You drink right from the Jug-a-Mug. No glasses, no opener, no deposits, no fooling. Jug-a-Mug holds the same and costs the same as the 12-ounce can. Buy it now wherever famous Rheingold Extra Dry is sold.
My beer is Rheingold, the dry beer. Jug-a-Mug is a new way to buy beer. Better get some today. Jug-a-Mug, what you say? What a great way to drink Rheingold beer.
Here at the Polo Grounds in New York, the New York Mets have won the first game of the season that they've been able to take from the Los Angeles Dodgers in their first meeting. It is the first time that Roger Craig ever has been able to defeat his former teammates. It is the first time the New York Mets have won a night game this season. So the Mets have won all the have now passed all the jinxes. They have won their first game, they won their first road game, they won their first night game. They have swept 2 series, but this perhaps was the biggest victory of the season because it came against the Dodgers, who left Brooklyn after the 1957 season and went out to Los Angeles. Well, they came back in tonight, and the Mets defeated them by a score of 4-2. The final summary for the Mets: 4 runs on 9 hits, 1 error, and 6 men left. For the Dodgers, 2 runs on 7 hits, no errors, and 7 left. The winning pitcher, Roger Craig, who now has 1-2 and lost 2, and the losing pitcher, Bob Miller, who started and was charged with the loss for the Dodgers. They got him out in the 7th inning, and actually the run that he left on base proved to be the go-ahead run, and thus he takes the loss. It was Miller's first loss of the season. He had won 2 and lost 1. 2 runs, 1 for each side, were scored on balk calls here tonight. There were no home runs in the ball game. As for the New York Mets, Jim Hickman had 2 base hits. Ron Hunt had 2 base hits. Ed Kranepool had 2 base hits. And Al Moran had 2 base hits. The youth movement of the New York Mets coming up with the power tonight as the Mets won the game from the Dodgers by a score of 4-2. That just about wraps up another New York Mets game brought to you by Rheingold Extra Dry and Viceroy Cigarettes. We sure hope you enjoyed it as the fans here at the Polo Grounds, 23,494 paid dead tonight. And of course, tomorrow night we'll be back here at 7:55 p.m. to bring you the Mets and the Dodgers once again. This broadcast came to you through the courtesy of Lieberman Breweries, Brooklyn, New York. Brewery since 1837, and the Brown and Williamson Tobacco Corporation. B&W, the mark of quality in tobacco products. Right now, I'd like to remind you to enjoy Viceroy cigarettes. Viceroy's not too strong, not too light. Viceroy's got the taste that's right. Now, this is Lindsey Nelson saying so long for Bob Murphy, Ralph Kiner, our statistician Matt Winnick, our engineer Joe Burnham, and for Rheingold. Rheingold Extra Dry. Those 2 little words, extra dry, tell you why Rheingold is beer as beer should taste. Why Rheingold is preferred by more New Yorkers than any other beer. Rheingold is brewed from the very choicest ingredients, brewed the long, slow, costly way for flavor that is brisk and bright and clean, clear through. So fill up your glass with a nice, cold, ice-cold, refreshing glass of good Rheingold Extra Dry and toast the victory of the New York Mets over the Dodgers by a score of 4-2. Our producer was Joe Gallagher. This is the New York Mets Baseball Network.
Treat here on Voice of the Game. We have a chance to visit with one of the greatest voice in the history, I think, of the game of baseball, Vin Scully, the longtime broadcaster for the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And Vin, when was it that you first realized you would like to become a baseball broadcaster?
Well, actually, Rick, I was 8 years old, and the nuns had asked us to write a composition on what you wanted to be when you grow up. And the girls wanted to be nurses and ballet dancers, and the fellows wanted to be firemen and policemen, and I wanted to be a sports announcer. Now, today, that would be well understood. There's so many sporting events. But when I was 8 years old, which is shortly before the discovery of fire, the only sporting events we had at all was football on the network on a Saturday afternoon. So where I had this germ of an idea, I don't know, but that's actually when I wanted to do it. I was 8.
Was your first broadcast a baseball game, or was it a football game? What was your first broadcast?
Well, actually, when I went to Fordham University and we had an FM station, and I worked on the FM station, my first professional job, I was a summer replacement announcer for WTOP in Washington, D.C. So it's a 50,000-watt station. So literally, I went from campus to the big leagues. And what I did was I took over all of the assignments as each announcer went on vacation. And so it was a marvelous exposure. And from that led to an emergency call from Red Barber, and I wound up doing a college football game, Boston University and Maryland, back in 1949, and the rest is history.
Tell us a little bit about your very first Major League broadcast with the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Well, I think the very first one was an exhibition game, and we were playing the Philadelphia Athletics, and the manager that year was Connie Mack. The next year, Jimmy Dykes became the official manager, but my first broadcast was with the A's in Vero Beach with Mr. Mack right there in the black suit and the celluloid collar and the straw hat. So And I remember in that game, I think Ferris Fain was the first baseman, and it seems to me there was a triple play, which Red Barber called, and I remember sitting there thinking, he made it sound so easy, and I was scared to death.
You make this sound so easy. You were so eloquent. It's almost prose instead of speak. But what did you learn from Red Barber then? What was the greatest lesson you learned from Red?
Well, a couple of things. Number one was to be yourself. And, of course, that's very difficult when you're first starting. And we had 3 teams in New York, a lot of fine broadcasters. And Red said, I don't want you to listen to any of them. And I said, really? He said, no, because you bring into the booth something that no one else can bring. And I thought, what is he talking about? And I said, what's that? And he said, you. And he said, you listen to others, and it will change you subconsciously or otherwise. So that was the first thing. And the second thing, of course, was prepare, prepare, prepare. He was an absolute stickler. I would go and get the lineups in those days, and let's say so-and-so was hitting third one day, and the next day he'd be hitting fifth. And I would just write the names down. And Red would say, why is it he's hitting fifth today and third yesterday? And I didn't have the answer. Well, I had the answer after that. But that's the way he was. He was really almost a father to me because he cared. He was hard in the sense of discipline. If he thought I said something wrong, he would jump all over me after the broadcast. But it was only because he cared. He wanted me to succeed. I owe him a great deal.
Vinny, you do everything so right and so well for so many years. What's your definition of a good baseball broadcast?
Well, I would guess, number one, accuracy. And the reason I say accuracy is because what you have to earn with the fan, the listener, or the viewer, you have to earn his respect and, more importantly, his trust. He has to eventually say to himself, if I say so-and-so made a great play, I want him to say, must have been a great play. Not, he's, talking about the Dodgers and they make all their great plays. And the same thing with the opposition. You must earn their respect. And that's number one. And the way to earn it is accuracy. The other thing is, you can't be a fan. Fans have one big right that we don't have. Fans see things with their hearts. They see things that they want to see. For instance, they're down by a run, 9th inning, Richie Sexton comes up. They want a home run. Richie Sexton, it's a fly ball. Well, as soon as the ball is in the air, the fan's going to start screaming. Well, the announcer can't do that. He has to look at it with his eyes, not his heart. So those are just a couple of things that I'm still trying to learn.
I think you've got it down by now. How long do you still want to do this, Vinny?
Well, I can tell you a favorite line of mine, which is, if you want to make God smile, tell him your plans. Let's put it this way. Contractually, I finished this year, and I have 2 more years to go, God willing. And then after that, I just don't know. We'll see. By that time, I'll have 59 years doing it. I'll still be working on the infield fly rule.